what is your most memorable hunt we've had together? And I know there's a bunch, but what is one that stands out to you?
There's actually two, I think.
All right, lay them on me.
The first one was behind my mother's house. Remember that swamp behind my mother's house?
Full of skunk cabbage, yeah.
And that bear was an absolute giant.
Yes.
A giant. And he was kind of just going in circles in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we didn't want him to cross the road.
Mm-hmm.
Well, more concerned about cars than cross. It didn't matter. That was just bigger woods up there. But we're banging on the guardrail to keep him down there, he did stay down there.
Yeah, we took leads. So what he's talking about, we took our leads and started chanking the guardrail to keep the bear from crossing the road, and we were hollering. It got dark on us because it was up into the evening.
That's right.
At nighttime, yeah. So.
And I'll never forget. I mean, we didn't know it at the time, but there was that giant track underneath, like he went through the neighbor's swing set. That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But that was one for sure. And then, of course, that was long before GPS.
Yes.
So we're just going, we're in the truck at that point, and boom, Frosty pops out on the road, and Bob just opened the door and ripped him right into the truck, you know?
Yeah.
And, of course, you were so nervous about, well, the road's always a concern with any dog, but Frosty was another level, you know?
But how long did we chase that bear? How long did we literally, I walked behind him and Frosty for I don't know how long. And every time I would get close to him, he was so big and fat he couldn't charge me.
Yeah.
But he would turn and just blow, just kind of give me that low pitch growl, like leave me alone. And I kept trying to grab Frosty by the tail to grab him and pull him out. And every time I'd do that, Frosty would get closer and closer and closer. And that went up to me in my mind. And we're talking 20 plus years.
Yeah.
20 plus years ago.
Of course.
Like, in my mind, like it lasted forever.
Yeah.
So what's the next one? You said you had two.
The other one, and it's not just because they're big bears either. It's just the way everything happened. But the other one was an absolute giant also.
I know which
I
one
remember
you're
that
gonna
was
say.
up on the mountain.
It laid down in the creek.
And you brought all your friends up and everything, and we had all those dogs, and they were all strung out.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just going through people's, we had all that woods, but he was just going. Remember there was a couple on their deck drinking coffee, and they were like waving to us like it was like normal, you know? Yeah.
What
that
were
was
we thinking? like all the stuff that we've done. Yeah, I remember both of those well. And that's back in like pretty much in the beginning of my not in the beginning. I'd been in it for if we've kind of looked back on this. 2002 is kind of when we've tracked this back to, but I got dogs in 94 and and Frosty died in 04.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. It was the last hunt was up there also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He got a chauffeur ride out.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah. Yeah, he got out of pocket and ended up in what was that, a Mercedes?
A Mercedes with a
in
chauffeur.
A gated community. Come out with a chauffeur. Is this your dog? Yes, it is. He looks like he needs to be fed. And I'm like, yeah, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We'll take care of it. Thank you. And the guard let us go and turn around in that gated community. Shoo. Yeah. So I'm sitting here tonight with probably one of my closest friends for the last 20 years, over 20 years. We've traveled a lot together. We have hunted more times than we can count. And most of this is for bear. I mean, Anthony does an array of everything else, but our relationship has really been over dogs and hunting. I cannot tell you the miles that my old gray truck which we call Maddie has named Rusty now because it's falling apart. But I can't, out of the 340,000 miles that's on that truck, the majority of them has to be traveling back and forth to your place.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of knows its own way. I just hit cruise control and it takes me to Anthony's house. But so I'm with Anthony O'Neill. Like I said, he's one of my closest friends and has been since the day we met. So I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself. We're going to talk a little bit about what we did today, which was a first for me. And then we're just going to get into some hunting. Some of our memories, we pulled some pictures up last night. And, man, I mean, we've had a lot of good times. Like, not all. I mean, you got to pull your hair out and scream sometimes. but we've had some really, really good hunts over the years. So, Anthony, just tell listeners a little bit about yourself, what you do, and just go through your little bit of your dog background.
Well, I do elevator construction for a living, union elevator construction, and I just grew up hunting my entire life, hunting and fishing as long as I can remember. My parents were from Ireland, so they had a real hunting, background, in the old country and all of that, and I was just kind of raised in it. But I started coon hunting at a very early age, did the whole coon hunting thing. I always had bird dogs, and just loved to hunt. That's all we do, really. Hunt and fish, of course, But when I grew up, I live in New York. We call it upstate, but it's not even in the Catskills, It's below the Catskills and far below the Adirondacks. But when I grew up, if someone seen a bear, it literally made the newspaper,
Just like when we lost our dogs and the dog warden pulled it up.
That's right.
And the next morning, our names were plastered all over the lost and found page.
But all of a sudden, you're coon hunting at night and you start treeing bears out of nowhere, and it just became regular. And now, these days, we're just ate up with them. There's actually way too many, Yeah. I mean, yeah, especially in your area because nobody hunts them. That it's legal to hunt, of course,
right.
But it's one of those things. A lot of people by us, they shoot one bear in their life. It's that's enough, They're done, And like you said, no one does shoot them,
Yeah. And so, when did you get your first dog? I know you and I have talked about this extensively over our relationship, but you first got a coon dog and it didn't pan out.
No, well, when the first one,
Yeah.
I was 12 years old, and of course, I tried to buy a finished dog and everything, and you know how that goes. But yeah, a guy sold me a dog running backtrack and everything else,
Mm-hmm.
But I went that whole, buying puppies, training them myself with cage coons,
Mm-hmm.
drags, and everything else, And again, just kind of got into the bear hunting more. I don't want to say by accident, because I think as a kid, especially, you always dreamed of bear hunting, lion hunting, all of that. That was always the thing, but it seemed so almost impossible, And then you get older, you realize, and then, of course, we got the bear population and things changed,
I was just sitting here when you was talking about, bear hunting and lion hunting. I don't know how many books you have loaned me, give me about a lot of the old timers.
Yeah.
I mean, you were very studious in that, and our relationship is actually what why I was able to have conversations with Dale Cameron
Mm-hmm.
and some of those guys out west that you put me in contact with, and you have went through. I mean, you've hunted dogs for me. All of my dogs, you've had a hand on them at some point in time.
Well, you guys never had that training season.
Correct.
So our training season always came in July 1st, so I was able to hunt dogs, when you guys couldn't,
Yeah, and I mean it helped me because my dogs were getting hunted pretty much from July till December.
Yeah.
So I was getting 6 months, almost, not quite, but 6 months of hunting with them. And then you got, so I think it's very peculiar to me, but when you and I started talking, you were hunting cur dogs.
Yes.
And you've always been a fan of the cur dog.
Yes.
What led you away from the hound? And I know we can talk all about the UKC registration now, but what led you from the coon dogs that you had to deciding that you wanted to go with the cur dog route?
Because I like a dog that hunts with you, like for you. And I never liked, you unsnap the leash and bam, the dog's gone. You're looking for dogs for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? And another thing which is big around us, there's no motor vehicle access. So I grew up hunting even now, you got to hunt on foot. So I did a lot of free casting with dogs. And again, cur dogs are more geared towards that aspect of it, And again, they hunt with you, And it's legal for us to run off of baits. So I was big into the Cameron dogs too, though. Like that was a big thing. And growing up, Full Cry was like, forget it.
Yeah.
And it was I haven't seen the new magazine. You know what I mean? Honestly, I haven't seen the new one.
Yeah, Jason and Danny Doobie have that now, and I mean they're doing a remarkable job with it. But yes.
But years ago, like I feel my daughter's sitting over there, but I'd be in school. And I'd have my textbook like up in front, and I'd read Full Cry, front to back. But Del Cameron had it was called Big Game Hounds and Hunters. And there was really, even then, not many big game articles, but that was a monthly thing. It was there. It was a staple, so I look forward to that. And back then, this is long before internet or any of that stuff. I would write Del letters, and he would write back to me. It was he was a huge inspiration, and I looked at him like, oh my God, that's what I want to be. When I grow up. And of course, I always wanted Cameron dogs. You know what I mean? And again, I didn't need that cold nose at all. But I got to say, the Cameron dogs did hunt like that.
Yes, they did.
They hunted with, like a cur, especially for free casting and all of that, Yeah. And they always check back in and they always come back, too, you know?
Yeah.
But, I got to know Del so well. Actually, he took us on an elk hunt. It was when he was retiring. He invited us out. It was one of the last things he did before he gave up his outfitter license. He wanted to do that before he retired full and got rid of his outfitter license, Stayed at his house and everything. So that was, that was like a blessing.
Yeah. To
have done that and, But that was... Yeah, I'm sorry, I went on a tangent, but the cur dog thing, that was pretty much it. Yeah, and that, another big inspiration, I should say, I never got close with him like I did with Del, but he was still a great man. And forget it, with genetics and everything else, was Richard McDuffie. And he would get on the phone and he would talk to me forever. Yeah, I could ask him and he was happy to answer. You know what I mean? But that was another... and he had that article every month too, and he was a very educated guy. He knew his stuff about genetics and all of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember And I was sitting here thinking while you were talking, like the first poacher you had is the far back as I can remember. Did you have one before that?
Not a leopard.
Right, but leopard poacher was from McDuffie, right?
That's right.
That's
yeah.
what I thought. Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, he was a tree machine. I mean, he was. I mean, he was a nice tree dog. I didn't think and I mean, looking back on it now, and like I said, can't remember half of what I was doing yesterday, much less 20 years ago. But like, I don't remember him taking the heat well.
No, and they have that. They had like a double coat.
Mm-hmm.
Like my wife even used to say she'd give him a bath.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd have to scrub down in there to get him.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I remember. I remember those dogs, and like I said, the time. I mean, Lord, I mean between you and Rodney, because Rodney used to hunt some of my dogs. Bob had a couple here and there, but you guys have hunted my dogs a lot through the years, for sure. And I'm just coming. Sorry for the hesitation. My wheels are going about 50 miles a minute because Anthony and I have done so much. But do you remember our very first hunt?
Of course, sure.
All right, tell me. See if your memory is as bad as mine.
There was a fish hatchery.
Yeah.
Further north from us, and they were having nuisance problems. The bears were getting into the tanks, and it wasn't even so much that they were getting the fish, but when they were getting in there, they were tearing up all their aeration equipment and all of that. So they wanted us up there, and we went up, and you didn't know nothing about me. Like I drove into your house on the night before. That's the way we always. Yeah, you stayed in our house and everything. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I drove in. I met this dude, and I'm staying at his house. And we're up at 4:00 the next morning and driving north. I mean, that was literally the premises of our. Well, we'll tell how it got started, but go ahead with it. And remember, you pulled over to clean out the dogs, and just to I never been there even. I never been up there myself, And we pull over to clean out the dogs, and there's just bear droppings, just everywhere. Remember that? Yep. And you were just kind of getting into rigging. You weren't like rigging dogs really back then. No. But you did rig that track. It wasn't that you rigged it, but they struck it in the box. Yes. Do you remember what dogs I had? You had Frosty. Yep. And Rufus. Yep. Sam. Yep. And you had another young. You had Belle, right? Was a pup, right? Yep. Belle was young, and probably Smokey. Definitely Smokey. Yep. I would have never remembered Smokey. Yeah, yep. Definitely. Yeah. Because that's about the dog. Most of my pictures during that time period, that was the core set of dogs. And Belle was my Cameron dog, my little female that y'all have heard me talk about some. She was very, very young at that point. And I mean, that was that was in 2002, and she was born in 2000. I still have her papers. She was born in 2000, so she was young, like probably 6-8 months old when I was carrying her. So, yeah. So what happened? Well, one thing I would like to mention that I never seen it or heard of it before, but I was so impressed. You had all them dogs. You used to have those couplers, remember? Oh yeah. And they followed you everywhere, though. Yeah. That was a pretty cool concept. I never seen it. That never really caught on anywhere. But I still do it. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I just took them up and. Come on, let's go. But, you just got out, and it was, you knew you could trust Frosty, and he was right. You put him down, and Man, they treat him pretty. I mean, he ran up to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
But they would treat fast. It just took us a while to get up there.
We had to drive around.
That's right.
Yeah. But what was like? So when Frosty come out of he was opening in the box, and you guys heard me talk. Like my dogs better be quiet in the box. So if they're opening their mouth in that box, they better have a purpose. Of course, back then, I didn't have a clue. I mean, I was green as green could be. Like I was learning. Frosty was he was the dog that taught me where bear went and where they traveled and what. I didn't know any of that stuff. But he was opening in the box, and when I opened that door, and he was opening, and I was like, he was like, "Are you gonna turn him loose?" And I'm like, "I guess." So I dumped him out, and I think he was the only dog I turned out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you always did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he was gone. Of course, we got the beep, so we're driving. We had to go out and drive around, and we started up this road into it was a lake, I guess, with some cabins around it.
Yes.
And we turned the corner up there, and I had the tracker. I don't know if you guys
you
used to
say turn the corner, you were on two wheels. Going up that mountain, my head's bouncing off the ceiling. You're doing about 80 through the woods,
Well, I had the old blue. I had old blue then, and it had the Earnhardt sticker in the back. So, but we turned the corner to go up into this valley where this thing is, and I don't know if you guys used to do it or not, but you old timers will know this. I'd stick my tractor up in the windshield with the box on. And that way, when I'm driving down the road, if I started getting a signal, you hear the thump, 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 thump. Well, we turned that corner, started up that valley, and it ting, 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 ting. I'm like, he's treed. And Anthony's like, he's treed. I was like, yeah, he's treed. Of course, we pulled in there around them old cabins.
Yeah.
And I dumped, the rest of my dogs in there because, I didn't know. And, of course, we got in there, and they had a decent bear treed. And, yeah, I remember that very vividly. That was our actual first hunt after meeting each other less than 12 hours.
Yeah.
So what brought our connection? What was it that started that?
Del Cameron himself.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had Cameron, I had Bell and Clyde. And you actually hunted Clyde a lot for me.
I did. I ended up, he was basically my dog in the end.
Yep.
He lived with it,
Yep. Yeah, he kept getting hurt. Like, daggum, you could not.
Oh, he got his back split open that time bad. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you had to have him stapled. That Sal got him, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah.
It was thick Laurel. He ran in. She had a couple of cubs, you know what I mean? I think.
Yeah.
I don't. It was so thick, I don't think he realized, you know what I mean, when he got it. And she just crossed in front of it. They blew, they all blew up at the same time. Like, it happened so quick, you know?
Yeah. And then, was it the next year? You come down and started hunting with me. Was that the year that we put Chad out in the snow and made him track that?
Oh, man, I'll never forget that.
You said you were never going. You've never been back in there either. You said you was never going back.
Yeah, that was no. That is we were talking about it with Jay yesterday, and there's a guy has no idea. Like until you see it, you can't even
But and that's what flabbergasted me. You've hunted all over the world, not the country, but the world. I mean, you've been to Africa. You've been everywhere. You all over the United States, out west, so many times you can't even count it. And you swear that our country is the roughest. Like, I have a hard time picturing that.
It's by far the roughest country that I ever been to. Now, I never been to Alaska. They say
yet.
I heard some,
Yeah.
Because of brush and whatnot, Alaska could be brutal. But, see, people, it's like with skiing, too. People always talk about elevation, right? But elevation is, it's just above sea level. It's not the steepness of a mountain. You know what I mean? So people get turned around, let's say, when it comes to elevation. They don't realize how steep your mountains are and rugged on top of that. And then you toss in Laurel. And, you know, most people, we got Laurel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's one of the places we hunt is called Laurel Swamp, for God's sake. You know what I mean? And there's no Laurel on earth like the Laurel you guys have. Like ours, you could bust through. Mm-hmm. You cannot bust through your Laurel. So now you got that steepness and how rugged it is, the rocks and everything, and then add a foot of snow to it, and then you're going through the Laurel, and all the snow's going down the back of your neck. And
was that your first hunt down there?
Yeah.
When we did that?
That's right.
I mean, that was daylight. We left my house at 3 o'clock that morning, if you remember.
I do, of course.
And we went driving in the snow looking for tracks. Like, that's what we did. And we found one. And we sat on it till daylight.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And before daylight, we told Chad, hey, follow this track and let us know where it goes. And, again, looking at the dog, I had Frosty and Belle, and, like, there was no need for us to do that. That was inexperience. Like, there was no need for him to walk that track for however long he did. And he's not been back either. Like, I broke 2 people that day.
Well, I've been to Virginia several times, just not back in there,
Yes, that's right. And, so he walks the track out. He comes into an area. We go around, put the dogs on the track, and then they take and tree it. And then y'all have heard the story on here before. We get in, and he's using Scott Mustard's rifle, who has literally got the sight with electrical tape wrapped around the barrel, makes a bad shot.
And the sling is bailing twine.
Yeah, yeah. Scott, if you listen to this, don't kill us. It's all good. But, yeah, and then, makes a bad shot. Bear comes out. Who lost her pistol? Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
and just by a complete freak of nature, Chad looks down and there's
in the snow.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
6-8 inches of snow. Yeah, and of course then I take off trying to run after the dogs, and I ended up tracking them like in the snow. I just kept following their tracks, and like I said, we got up we left the house at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I think we got home at 8 or 9 that night. I was absolutely drained. That's one times that I can actually say that fatigue has almost got me, because we didn't eat nothing. We didn't have nothing to eat
all day.
No drink, no nothing. Of course, I do not do that now. I carry water and at least some snack bars or something with me. But yeah, I remember walking out of there that evening, right at dark, whatever it was. And I'm like, man, just put 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other. And you guys that hunt in the snow, it wears on you. Like, it wears on you. Just like Anthony just said, that stuff was, we're soaked. We are soaked from going through the laurel and the brush and the snow going down the back of your neck. And, it was nasty. That was that's probably one of the roughest days. I've had some rough days, but that's probably one of the roughest days I've had hunting. Yeah, it was tough. But we got the bears, nice bears, 250. Chad's first bear, and his last, because like I said, we broke him. He went back to bird dog, and he thought that was a lot. He's gotten so lazy. He's chasing birds with dogs off a horse. So he don't do nothing but whistle and tell them to go yonder or whatever you guys do. I'm just picking, but he hadn't been back, so. That was your first hunt in Virginia. And then we've had a lot more. We were talking about it last night. So all the kids have taken a bear.
That's right.
With hunting with us. And before we got to talk about ring. Well, let's sum up Frosty first. Because Frosty's time, he passed in this time period, and you hunted with Belle quite a bit, and Clyde, And I mean, what was your take on Frosty? I mean, to me, like, he was my first bear dog was single dog that could catch a bear by himself. Was he the greatest in the world? Looking at it 20 years later, probably not.
I don't know.
But to me,
I would,
yeah.
I always looked at, and another thing that I think you're not mentioning here either is back then you guys didn't have bears.
Mm-mm.
So he was cold trailing, like real cold trailing. You don't need to do that anymore. And that was the thing with me too. I didn't want it or need it. You know what I mean? But when I came down here with you guys, like that's, Frosty was, you needed that,
Yeah. Yeah, I get, and I always kind of refer back to it that, yeah, the bear were scarce. I mean, you weren't catching them every day or every other day like we do now. Like, you caught 1 or 2 a week. I caught 5 that one December. That was 2003. I remember that because I just got out of the academy, and I was graduating the academy that day, and Clay Ferguson called me and said, hey, he said, I found a track over here on so-and-so, and I'm like, oh, okay, and he's like, you want to try to run it? And I'm like, Clay, I'm getting ready to I've got to go through the ceremony for the police academy, and I was like, hold on, let me find out how long this thing's gonna last. And I literally left that ceremony, went home, grabbed dogs. It was a little after 3:00 that evening, and I hailed Frosty. I put Belle and Clyde on that track because it was in the snow, and I wanted to see if they'd do it. And they took that bear back around the mountain and ended up treeing it, and old Fred killed it. That year, I caught 5 bear in December. And I mean, again, that was me by myself, which, that was a feat at that point in time in my life. But yeah, that's the dogs I had. But yeah, Frosty it hurt me when he died. Like it made me think about going and finishing, continuing to hunt.
Well, right away, how you're saying, how would I ever get a dog like that again, too?
Yeah.
Because I'm talking about cold trailing, but he was the full package. He was everything. You know what I'm saying? He had it all.
Yeah. I mean, he had good speed. I mean, yeah, he
gritty.
Yeah, nice dog.
Yeah. Tree dog.
Yeah. Big old long ball.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, man, there's so many hunts we can talk about. Yeah, so Frosty. And then, when did you hunt with Ring first?
You came up by us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember you took a loan out. And I heard someone talking about taking loans out for dogs recently. But you took a loan out to buy Ring. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did.
Only in Virginia could you go to a bank and get a loan to buy a hunting dog.
Actually, I borrowed the money off my stepdad. That's what I had done. And it was a chunk. At that time, it was a chunk. And worth every, worth the headache and worth every penny of it, because in the long run, Ring was probably a nicer dog than Frosty. But the bear population picked up and some things changed. But you remember us standing up on that overlook up there where we hunt, and remember Ring slick tree down in that swamp? And
he was doing it, prior to that,
yeah.
Because you were even telling me, down here.
Yeah.
You would call me and tell me he was doing it. And, back years ago, too, there was always wives' tales and stuff. But I was always led to believe that it couldn't be corrected. Like, you can't correct a slick tree and dog like that. Like, that's what I was always... And there were even, people had it in their books and everything. Like that, it's just better off just to walk away, Well,
you remember what you said to me on that rocket? What'd you tell me?
I said, what are you going to do, Heath? I mean, here we are, like...
Yeah.
What's next?
What'd I say?
Do you know that? I don't remember. I do remember. We were on a rock.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I got the picture.
Yeah. I didn't even. Yeah, you showed it to me. That's right. Yeah.
I said, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And everybody gives me credit for fixing that. I didn't fix it. I just kept hunting him. And I kept going to him and kept hunting him and kept going to him. And the dog was smart enough to figure out that this is not right. And I'm sure I give him some unruly corrections at times, and I'm sure I got on him. And I remember Rodney. We went to. I had just gotten back from Canada, and he had slick treed up in Canada, and we walked about a mile through the swamp in there to get him, and Rodney was furious. I mean, furious with that. And I mean, Rodney about had me convinced to sell him. Like I guess the thought was going through my mind, but I guess I didn't put enough into it to really go through with it. Thank goodness. And then you say, "What are you gonna do, Heath?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like I don't know." But I didn't do anything. I just hunted him. I just kept hunting him, and he figured it out. And I mean, I'm glad I did, because all three of your kids have been able to take bear because of that dog.
That's right.
All three of them. And looking at the pictures we went through last night, and I mean, just that probably that memory with them, and all the bear that we caught with him, or I was able to catch with him, or whoever, those three are probably some of the most memorable for me. And I know we were checking it out. Won't you just go? So Angelina's the oldest.
That's right.
And then Mick, and then Jolie. And so won't you go through those three hunts, on what we did and.
Well, Angelina was 9, and I always felt like they got to do it on their own. I'm not going to do it for them. So if they can't hold a gun up on their own, they have that's the minimum, and be able to shoot it. But back then, they didn't even make a youth rifle. They only made a youth shotgun. So there she is with a 20 gauge, smooth bore, with a pumpkin ball slug.
Oh, is that what she was using?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I thought she had the 243.
No, that was actually Charlie bought that for Mick. And that's Jolie's rifle to this day, as a matter of fact. But I put a red dot on it, just so we could sight it in, And of course, that was a great hunt too. Do you remember actually? Billy was down here with us. Oh, Billy wasn't there that time.
That was a couple years before when we put on that track, and everybody's like, "Are you gonna run that?" Because it was a small track.
Yeah.
They're like, "You gonna run that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna run it. It's bear season." I put Smokey, Sam, Ring, and Bell on it, and they took it up. I still got that picture. It treed over that cliff on the north of the mountain, and you can see, like in the picture, you see the other mountain.
Yeah.
In the picture, I still have that picture. Yeah, but Billy was with us there.
Yeah.
And then
that was a long race too. That was a real long race.
Yeah, and then we hiked. We pulled plumb to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
From the bottom, because it was. Remember, it was icy and snow that day. Yeah. So, I think Wes was with us on that one.
That's where I met him.
Yeah.
It's the first day I met him.
That was a long time ago. Yeah. But yeah, so it was just us. I don't think you had anybody. It was just you and Angelina.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Ring rigged that track. It was off the road quite a ways, and he went and struck it, and we packed it up, and man, they had a really good race. Called it, treat it. We got into it. It come out. It wrecked one of my young dogs.
Kept coming out. Came out, I think, 2 or 3 times even.
Yeah. And I had a really nice young dog coming on named Kelly, and Kelly got. When it come out the first time, the bear kind of just sat on him, and they went down in the creek, and man, I like to never caught that dog, and he never was right after that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, he was a year and a half old, but yeah, that done him in. She was able to take that bear, and then it was 2 years later. So that was what did we decide that was 2011 or 12?
Let me think now. She was. It would be 12 because she was 9 years old.
And then Mick was 2 years later.
Yeah.
And then Mick come down, and yeah, man, I still have like. I don't like the way that turned out during that early season because I handled that wrong. But I'm glad I did because he wouldn't have been he would not have got the bear that he did.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was. So we caught a bear. That's the first year they had the early kill, or maybe it was a youth day.
Youth
it was
day.
Youth day.
Yep.
Yeah. We come down, and Ring was getting old, so I was rigging him and then letting Jimmy and Buster take the bear and go on with it. And they ended up treeing one, and we went in, and another guy that was hunting with some friends of mine, his kid wanted to kill it, and Anthony was down here, and I was like, well, just flip a coin. What I should have said is no, they drove 8 hours, and my dogs are underneath the tree, but I didn't. But anyway, you come back in December, and Ring rigged another track, and Jimmy and Buster trailed it up, and literally they trailed it to right where it was at.
Right where it was at.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
it was cold too. Even the woods was frozen.
Yeah.
You know.
And Mickles ended up taking a nice 350-pound bear, like a nice bear. And the one that was in Youth Day was nowhere near. That was 170, 60, 70-pound bear. So we was able to take that bear, and then Jolie. I don't know that I had Ring on that.
I thought you did.
I may have. I may have. I know I had Buster and whatever, but and then and what's so good about the 2 of the 3 hunts? We were hunting different locations with Mick, but Jolie and Angelina killed their bear within 100 yards of each other.
Yeah,
like 100 yards of each other. And how big was hers? 250, 248.
It was, it was probably 258, I think. It was the exact number, yeah.
Yeah, so 100 pounds littler than the rest. But
that was a good one because if you remember, I always say that's a testament to good woodsmanship, you know. There was no food at all in the woods that year, 0. And, well, where are you going to find food, right? And there was that hunting camp. Up on the mountain, and they're probably butchering deer. And sure enough, got the strike right there. And even when we cleaned the bear was completely full of deer meat.
Yeah. So you deer hunters that leave stuff laying, bear hunters are scavengers. They'll go check it out. But yeah, those were 3 really good hunts and 3 nice bear. And like I said, I'm blessed that I was able to do that with Ring.
We're blessed.
Yeah.
Actually, the kids are blessed, you know.
Yeah, all 3 of them Virginia bears.
Yeah.
The Journey on Houndsman XP has teamed up with One TDC. This dual-action support for oral health and mobility in our dogs. This unique supplement is so effective that it is recommended by top veterinarian experts worldwide to maintain and improve our dogs' health in 4 different areas. Their oral health, hips, joints, and muscles, skin, coat, energy, and recovery. Guys, I've been using this product for the last 6 months, and it has been a game changer for me. If you're looking for something to help with the overall health of your dog, go to worksowell.com and give this product a try. It is highly recommended by Houndsman XP here on The Journey. So what else? What else sticks out to you? I know that I was sitting here when you started laughing about Frosty. You remember the day that we were up on the mountain and we turned the dogs loose and they split. And Ring and Frosty and Sam went out parallel the road that we were on and treed. And Smokey and Belle and Clyde were above them. And we went to the tree, and you're like, what are they doing? And I'm like, I think they're caught. Again, this was way back in my career, like way back. I said, I think they're caught. And he's like, you don't think they're treed? I said, no, they're moving. They're coming towards us. So I grabbed those 3 dogs off the tree. We go about 50 yards, and I get them plugged in, and we turn them loose to the other 3 dogs, and they come right in above where we were at. Paul was with us.
That's right.
And Paula.
Yep.
And Angelina and you, because we got us the picture sitting in that rock bar. Yeah, so we treated 2 bears within 100 yards of each other. The dogs just split. And,
yeah. Like 2 different races. They weren't like 2 bears that were together either. It was 2 separate. It's just.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember like going up there and like when Ring was young, and I mean, I don't mean to make this podcast about Ring, but it just so many hunts with you and I with him, and we turned him loose and he went in there and struck and went like 200 yards and treed, and he was like, what are you doing? I was like, I guess he treated coon. And I go in there, and he's got like a 300-pound bear hanging off the side of a tree. And I'm like, turn him loose! Turn him loose! But yeah, there was a lot of those hunts. What sticks out to you?
You know, it was funny. You sent up a whole crew of guys up to my house, and you couldn't get there till the afternoon. And by the time you got there, I think we caught like 3 bear. You know, and remember we had the bait up behind my house. Marcy's barbecuing on the back deck for us, and by the time we came back, like we treated the bear. By the time we came back, Marcy wasn't even done cooking yet. Yeah,
yeah, I remember that because I was mad because I couldn't get off work in time. But yeah. What was your favorite dog that we've hunted?
I liked Frosty. Like you liked Ring, I guess, but I for some reason I was, and like Ring was, I guess he gave you a lot of trouble in the beginning.
You ain't lying. Yeah, if you want to test your patience as a houndsman, you get a dog like that because he'll do it.
And like he was a go yonder dog. Like Frosty was more like what I'm talking. You know what I like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Frosty and Belle and Clyde all hunted like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ring was you. Well, you hunted Sam for me, and Sam was the same way.
But I only used Sam. I only packed him in. I knew that. Hey. You know what I mean? I never let him start a trap. You know what I mean? He was a great dog too. He was a good dog.
Sam.
Yeah.
Did he get cut open too? And that's when you found all the bird shot?
Well, the vet did. Yeah. Yeah, he got cut right in his groin, you know?
Yeah. And you called me and you was like, "Has somebody shot this dog?" And I'm like, I hope not. And he was like, "Yeah, he's full of bird shot."
Yeah, his whole rear end.
And I was like, "No, I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know that." Of course, he was 3 years old when I 2.5. He was 2.5, 3 years old when I bought him. And I guess that once we found that out, like I understand his temperament now because he was one of those dogs that you could not, you couldn't bully him. Like he was not going to tolerate it. You laid a hard hand on him. It wasn't justified. He'd let you know really quick, and that's probably some of why he did that. But yeah, man, he was a super nice dog too. And me and Wesley had this conversation the other day. Was like, you know, I'd love to have a couple of those dogs right now, just to see how they compare. Like in your mind, you know, they're either better or worse or whatever. But I'd really like to know where they're at. Maddie, you know, Maddie loves Spook. That's her dog. She loves Spook, and she asks me all the time. Like Spook will go do something and, you know, look good doing it, and she'll like, "Do you think he's as good as Ring?" And I'm like, "Honey, I don't know. Like they're both catching bear. Like, you know, I didn't have as many, you know, bear. Well, 2007-ish is when the bear population for us started skyrocketing, but was like, I don't know. I can't answer that question because it's two different style of dogs. I don't know, but you know, I sure do enjoy having Spook and Kate. You know, I'm blessed to have them. And you know, when I was driving down here to meet y'all, I was listening to a bunch of podcasts, and I was actually listening to Clay talking to Tracy Jones, TL, and they were just talking about dogs, and it kind of dawned on me, and I thought about my life and my journey and path with these dogs. And you know, my old Brandy female, my coon dog, I don't think you ever hunted with her.
No.
You know, I mean, she won a lot of hunts for me. She was a super, super nice dog. And I wouldn't have traded her for $1 million. But I will say that dog, I would have never owned that dog if I know what I know now when I bought her. So my inexperience and me not knowing anything about dogs in that point in my career is why I ended up with her. Because the smarter, more educated me with hounds, I probably wouldn't have given her time of day. So I think, you know, the path that we take, you know, we probably end up with some pretty decent dogs because we didn't know no better. And we don't, you know, I have some guys on here that are beginners and have just got into it and hunted a year or two, and, you know, everybody struggles and they have a hard time with X, Y, and Z, but we all do. Like, we all have those trials and tribulations where we're like, gosh, you know, why am I doing this? And then you'll take a couple days off or a couple weeks off, and you'll clear your mind. You'll be like, all right, I got to get back out in the woods, and I want to be with my dogs. And yeah, I think about that a lot with the dogs that I've had and the hunts and everything. But you and I have been, I mean, you didn't go to Maine with us that time, did you? Because Marcy was getting ready to.
She was 9 months pregnant.
With Jolie?
No, with Mickey. Yeah. And if you remember, I got to say, I'm blessed with the best wife on it. Yeah. You guys were leaving. She's outside arguing with me, trying to make me go. Mm-hmm. She felt bad that I wasn't going. And you guys left 9/11. And he was born on the 24th. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yep.
But she still wanted me to go. Yeah, not many women going to do that.
No, she just wants you out of the house.
And maybe too, you're right. It's true.
So what is it about so let's talk about today. Let's talk about what we're doing. So, you know, we're down on the coast. I've never hunted with deer dogs. I was talking to Johnny today, and I'm like, you know, of all the stuff that I've done, this is something I've never done. And, you know, I enjoyed it more so than I thought, because, you know, I'm not a huge deer hunter anymore, because I have the hounds, and it takes up most of my time just trying to keep them where I can catch game. But today, you know, watching them, and there's a lot of similarities. I guess any type of hound hunting or dog hunting, there's similarities, and there's some, I guess, some novelties in it too, where you don't like some of the things they did, or some of the things the dogs did aren't exactly like what we do, but it's okay. You know, Jolie was able to take a doe, and there was, I mean, it just kind of come through. It wasn't like spooked or running. It was just kind of trotting, stopped, and then it took off, and she was able to get a shot on it. And it was like 30 minutes later, the dogs trailed into it. And I could tell when the dogs were coming, I'm like, they're not running. Like, you know, when they were running, that one squilly mouth dog was yo, 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 yo. I mean, it was giving good mouth. And I'm like, they're not running. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's trailing this deer in. I'm not sure. But sure enough, they come right into it. Both of them, there was 3 dogs. They all come and smelt it, and then they went on and went hunting. Like, our dogs would have grabbed a hold of it,
Yeah.
and we'd had to come and got him off of
Different thing, yeah.
it. Yeah.
But running dogs are like that anyway, don't you think?
I don't know. It's my first experience. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was like, oh, okay, so because that's what I thought. I'm like, well, where's these handlers at? Where's Johnny and Whitney? Where are they at? Because these dogs are not going to leave. And sure enough, they went way out away from us, and they struck and come back by us. I know an hour later, and I never did see anything. I'm not sure. They were kind of running the same track that the first deers went through past us this morning. But there had been a lot of traffic through there too. I mean, we'd seen five different sets of deer, or 5 deer. The dogs had come through one way. They come through east to west, and then they come back west. And then they come back west and made a loop and went back east. So there had been some traffic in there. Yeah, it was a good experience. I mean, I enjoyed it more so than I thought. I had a good time. Like, I enjoyed it. So, I don't know. What else you want to talk about?
Just, to me, I don't have deer dogs. I come down here to do it, and I'm pretty much strictly now I'm into traditional archery even. Like, I'm pretty much just a bow hunter, But for me, if there's one thing, if I can only do one thing, this would be it. Like, this, for whatever reason, it's so exciting to me. I love it. Like, it's... I bring my whole family down. Everybody's out there, and you see all our friends come down. We're down here with like 15 people, including the kids, and 15 people just from New York. Right. You know what I mean? That are all our friends. And like, we come down every year, and it's the whole camaraderie thing, but also it's just so exciting. Like, you hear them dogs, the deer's coming, but it's so thick, you don't know he's coming. You got to have your head on a swivel, all the time.
Yeah.
They could come. And, we're not allowed to use buckshot either, which I don't know why, because I absolutely love it. I think it's the best stuff there is.
In New York?
Yeah, you could use it for predator hunting and stuff, but you can't big game hunt with it, you know? Yeah. I don't know why, because it's the deadliest stuff there is. I mean, and you talk about, we could hunt with rifles in New York, it's not, but... safe-wise, it's, it doesn't go nearly as far as even a slug, but I love it. I just love everything about, this. I even love this area.
Yeah, Yeah, you told me years ago. He was like, I'm moving down. I'm like, what? Like, no. And he's like, yeah, I love it. And, that was something else you and I was talking about on the way home. The thing about hunting with dogs, and of course I was sitting with Jolie, and she does phenomenal, but like, you don't have to be quiet. We were, we were deer hunting, so we were looking for deer even though the dogs weren't coming through there, because, we all know the dogs could be running in another area and they slip through there. But, we got up and walked around a little bit. We talked some. It's not like you had to just sit there and be quiet. And especially when the dogs were coming, like, you're like, okay, we could just have a conversation. I don't have to be, like, whispering and whatever. And I think for our youth, that is huge, because there was enough excitement this morning. It was every 30 minutes or an hour, or enough. It was enough to keep you from, like, getting bored and trying to find something else to do. Like, we weren't on our phones that much. This evening now it was, so, we was both scrolling or doing whatever, not paying attention. But this morning, the deers were coming through, the dogs were running through the area or coming to us. So, it's a good, I really thought for especially for youth hunters, like, it's enough excitement there to keep them interested.
I never thought of that. That's an excellent point. Yeah, for youth hunters, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah, and me, that's why I love the bear hunt, because I don't like to sit still. I can sit still for an hour or two, but then I want to see what's on the next hill. And then I'll sit over there for an hour or two, and then I want to see what's on the next hill. Like, I've always been that way. And, you know, something else that I was talking to somebody else about, you know, we were hunting from the... I've never killed a deer from a tree stand, ever.
Wow.
Never.
That's crazy.
I mean, even when I bow hunted, you know, when I was a hard bow hunter, I hunted from the ground. So I've never taken and a lot of people were carrying their climbers and stuff, and you know, I see the advantage to it, and I'm not opposed to it at all. You know, after talking to was it Jim and John?
Yeah, Harold. Yeah.
Jim and Harold. Yeah. You know, after talking to them, I'm like, you know, when I retire, this deer hunting's not a bad gig. Like, you know, I can pack me a lunch and I can find me a heated blind and I can enjoy myself. But, you know, seeing the guys, you know, they're retired and you know, up in age a little bit, and like, you know, they're loving this. Like, they're loving it.
You know, that's a good point you brought up too. Like, see, these guys are from Virginia, and now they're like family. Like, we're coming back down the end of the week to go hunting with them again. Like, we're just, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't even know who they were. You know what I mean?
No, it's a good thing. Like I said, I've enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed, you know, meeting all. Even though I've been to your place 100 times, the only one I know is the judge.
And Charlie.
Yeah. Charlie's hunted with us, but you know, I didn't know Jay and Tom. I didn't know those guys. So, yeah, that's pretty. That was good for me. Like I said, I've enjoyed it. So, any closing thoughts? What are you thinking? It's late. We got to get up early in the morning.
Yeah, long ride home.
But no, Anthony, we've had. I mean, like I said, just over the last couple of days, it's kind of been going through my head. Like, you know, there's a lot of my hound hunting career. You've been involved in it.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it. I mean, you've known my dogs. I've hunted some of your dogs. And, like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trees. And I think about, you know, the times we like you said, that first time, I was thinking, oh my God, like, that's his first time in Virginia. And, like, you'll never come back. And then, you know, you come back and you know, you've been back numerous times and hunted. And I've learned so much since then too. Like, it's not the same. And I know when I come up a couple years ago, Spook was 8 months old. I don't know. And I had Pearl and Walker and Pearl, Walker, Spook, and something else. Oh, I had that Clyde dog. Yeah. And we didn't have much luck, but that's part of it, I guess. I think Maddie was with me.
She was, yeah.
Yeah, because she fell on that rock.
That's right.
Oh, she still reminds me of that.
Really? That day?
Oh, yeah. She's like, you remember when I hit my leg on that rock? And I'm like, yes, honey, I'm aware. Like, I'm aware. Yeah. But, no, it's been great. And like I said, you know, you look back at people in your life that you have a lot of acquaintances, and I know a lot of people, and I have some friends, but you know, there's not a whole lot of people that you know that you could call anytime, any day, and they do whatever they could for you, and you have been one of them people for me. So that relationship started over dogs. Like
that, I say that all the time to people. Yeah.
I mean, some of the best people that I've met have been through dogs.
That's right. Same with me. Bird dogs too. Same thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. I just wanted you to come on and, you know, share some of your your hunts with us, and like I said, I hope there's many more for sure.
Me
like,
too. Yeah, God willing.
Yeah, like we're both getting ready to retire, so yeah. Our better halves may not like. They may have to get on the schedule to see us. That's for sure, because we got some plans if we can make it happen. So, all right, Anthony, I appreciate it. Thank you for staying up so late.
Yeah.
It's late. We've been up since 4 o'clock this morning.
That's right.
And, yeah, it's really late tonight. So, All right, guys, catch us next time. Thank you for helping us teach, train, and nerd.